Thank you for tuning in to today's episode, guys. Before we start today's episode, here's a single of Lorraine by our guest, Cosacchi. I hope you enjoy.
I can feel you in my head, and I can taste you. You're on my breath. Don't worry about a thing. We're in no hurry, sweet Lorraine. Oh, all right. Left my house key. It's in the back of your car. One that smells like coffee and breaks those broken laws. Oh, don't worry about a thing. We're in no hurry, sweet Lorraine. Oh, and I can't hold on you if I go home. So let's take the car and drive. Whoa, my sweet love. Don't worry, we're in no hurry. Don't worry, sweet
All right, guys, and welcome to Learning Life with You. Today's guest is Conor Adams, a really good friend, one of my best friends that I actually met here in China while teaching here. And I'm excited to have him on. He actually recently moved to Portland to start his music career. And I'm just excited to have this guy on. He has so much to talk about, so many different life experiences, and I just learn from him whenever I talk to him. So I'm excited to have him on. Thank you for being on, Connor. And
Yo, Alberto, good to be here.
thanks, man. I appreciate that, dude. And I mean that. It's been a while. I've been needing to interview you for such a long time now. But I'll be honest, I've also been needing to get my shit together too. So but I'm glad we got this going on, man. So
Yeah, I was there when you started the whole podcast series. It's cool to see how far you've come with it. So many interesting guests, and we've even rebranded since. So it's like I'm part of this journey with you.
dude, as ditto, same for you, dude. I'm just so stoked, man. It's a crazy experience just to even think about how much we've grown as people from when we first met to now, like just in general, these experiences, right? And just even being in a foreign country and just without knowing the language, it was just a growing experience in itself, right? And to meet people like-minded people, like a group of friends that we have, it's just insane how we all ended up together, and just saw like the beginning of all our journeys. So it's pretty cool to kind of see where we're going at now.
Yeah, we were pretty lucky to find such a group of people, all the way across the world like that. Definitely was one of the best parts of being in China for me.
Agreed, man. So many adventures too. But yeah, so for guests that don't know you, Connor, so Conor Adams, who are you? What are your upbringings? Like, who are you as a person? Tell us your story, man.
Oh, my beginnings. What did I come from? My essence. Who is Conor Adams? Those are fantastic questions, Alberto, that I can only try and guess the answer to. Um, I am 28 years old. I spent my childhood, I was born in Seattle and went to elementary, middle school, high school in Seattle. I've got mostly my whole life lived with my brother and my mom, very close to me. Around high school, I started building my relationship with my dad up back again. So he's back on. Love him a lot. But yeah, right. Uh,
Dude.
but yeah, family's super important to me. I love my family. That's part of the reason I chose to move to Portland, just so I could be close. Still find a place that was good for what I love to do, which is play music. So I've been playing music since 5th grade, like a lot of people. I started playing trumpet in 5th grade, and but I just never stopped playing trumpet. So I kept doing jazz bands through college, and then I started a band that is still currently playing today called Left on 10th. And we began in Montana, which is where I went to school. And everybody moved to Portland. So yeah, it's just been kind of while we were in Bozeman, playing, it was a very much a party lifestyle. Like we were playing these big shows and just having a great time. And we kind of wanted to do something more. So moving to Portland was just kind of a step up in that direction. Oh man, talking more about who am I? What else can I say about that? I love skiing. Skiing is super fun. Skiing as fast as I can. I like mashed potatoes a lot. One of my favorite foods. Delicious. And yet so simple, How can something so simple be so delicious? It blows my mind. Every time I take a bite, every bite blows my mind. Um, and what else? Yeah, I feel very lucky to have had all the travel experiences that I've had. That's something else I've put a lot of time into in my life. Um, and I've just made friends from all over the world in that process. And it's cool to kind of look at a map, and say, oh, my buddy Tobias is over there, and then my friend Alberto is over there, and like I'm way over here, and it's just kind of cool to know that there are people around out there that I can call or even visit, and it's like family, extended family. So I love to travel because of the people that I meet when I travel. That's one of the main things. I learned this from somebody I met in Memphis, and he said, um, when I look back on the places I've been, I see the faces of the people I was there with.
Right.
Like the people are kind of the most important part of the experience, and that's rings very true for China for me. Spending time with you and Olivia and Jason and Emma, and like, there were a lot of days where I didn't hang out with you guys and I was just kind of doing my own thing, and I can hardly, like, those days are all blur, but
Right.
our experience is like going to Anshan or places like that. It was like they stick out in my mind, and I
Right.
can remember the details of being there. So
Right.
obviously they're more important to me, or more important. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. No, dude, I agreed, man. So now you said that you've mentioned that you've traveled around the world, right? In different places around the world.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit more, if in detail, where and maybe what you've learned from some of these experiences?
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, good question. Each experience, what have I learned? So I guess I'll start by I went to um, Costa Rica when I was in 7th grade, and that was a pretty big experience for me because it was like my first like real introduction to Latin American like lifestyle and culture, which is something that I've come to really appreciate and love like in the years since. And so I would say that was a real big door for me to step through. And it was just like I didn't even like beans before I went there, and I went there and I had gallo pinto every morning for breakfast and lunch, and it just like fell in love with beans. So they changed me in that way. Beans, and the orange juice was fantastic. So Costa Rica was great, and then I I've been to Ireland a couple times with my family to visit family over there, and I really liked Ireland because it felt like home away from home in a way
Right.
because the climate is similar to Seattle and just got such a richer history in my mind than the United States, kind of because they were like persecuted a little bit in the U.S. and like kind of they had to struggle for a lot of things, and they still have to struggle, and they're such a small country. So I just think it's a pretty inspiring story of Ireland. um I spent some time in Peru when I was in college. I went there. Well, first I went to Nicaragua, kind of studied Spanish there, and then I lived in Peru for about 5 months, and that was a huge experience for me. I was old enough to really be independent down there, and I met a lot of friends, and I got to travel around the whole country. And that was that was definitely a growing experience. I'm trying to think of lessons I learned from it. I guess one lesson that I might have learned was like this might be I don't know, not to take life too seriously.
Right.
It's kind of like be be able to adapt to situations and try and make the best of things. It can be kind of a lesson that can come back and bite you in the ass if you're not careful. But in Peru, like I had all stuff stolen from me at one point, and so that would be another lesson is keep an eye on your shit. But um, all my stuff got stolen, and I basically had to kind of just thumb it like the rest of the 3 months I was there, and kind of live with not very much stuff and still try and have a good time and appreciate the place I was at. So that was an interesting growing experience. I've spent some time in New Orleans. I lived there before I moved to China. And that's where I really started digging into music production.
Right.
So I was living in Montana for like 6 years going to school, and I was really becoming a great musician, and to playing in a rock band as a trumpet player, which is it's a pretty valuable skill as a horn player to just be exposed to all those different keys and those different songs. And so as a musician, I felt like I was kind of killing it, but then I wanted to make my own music more, kind of take a step back from the band. So I moved to in the hopes of like starting producing my own material and growing even more as a trumpet player, studying some jazz. But I ended up having to work kind of this shitty job most of the time, and the time that I had is spent learning how to produce music. So the lessons that I took from New Orleans was that I can do it. It takes a lot of work, but
Right.
I can do it. And that's something that I think is super valuable. Everybody can do what they want. They just have to really dedicate themselves to it and buckle down and watch YouTube videos
Right.
until they fall asleep how to do stuff.
Right. I mean, we were. I mean,
And then so then I moved to China. What was that?
oh no,
Sorry,
sorry.
I'm
A little bit
breaking
of
up.
a lag for me. No, but I mean, you can learn anything on YouTube now, dude. There's so many things that you can learn from on YouTube now. Like it's
Yeah.
an open library for so many things to learn about, Um, but getting back to China though, um,
Yeah, crazy.
what happened in China? What did you learn there?
Oh, China, China kind of like knocked me around, man. Honestly, like many circumstances that were just was like just kept getting blindsided, you know. Initially, the initial move took a lot. Like, and it was definitely a learning experience. Like trust was a big one. I don't really trust these people. Like, I feel like I'm getting scammed, but honestly, you're the perfect person to talk to about this because you're part of the reason I moved there. Because when I was interviewing for it, they were like, "Okay, talk to this real teacher who's actually here." And I saw your face, and you were just like, "Yeah, here's the office. What's up, man? Come on down."
Dude,
Actually, that was like my first like, okay, it could be legit kind of
right.
moment. So based off that moment alone, I flew all the way across the world and landed in Shenyang. And like in the middle of the night at the airport, and Leo came and picked me up, and I'm not even sure where I spent that first night. Oh, in
Probably
a hotel. A
in a
hotel,
hotel.
I
They
think.
probably rented a hotel room, right? Yeah.
Got me a hotel room. And then the next day they were like, "Okay, we're gonna go get you an apartment and get you all set up." And but that was one of the challenges was my apartment was kind of a little bit further away from people, you know.
Right.
Like just my friends. Like there were still people around, I guess, you know, but
Right.
that was a challenge because I felt one of the things I had to overcome in China was like the feeling of isolation and loneliness was like loneliness kind of hits you like a train when you're in a country that nobody can speak with you in. Um, you you just kind of your opportunities for interaction are severely limited. And then COVID hit, you know, in January, and we were just it was like pure isolation. So
Right.
that was difficult. So kind of a lesson that I learned was being comfortable um, with that, you know, being okay with being alone and um, kind of still trying to find things to do in order to be productive and knowing that I can make it through an experience like that and still like have a positive outlook on life is pretty it's pretty valuable. And also I felt like I went to China with a purpose, you know, which was to complete a year of teaching. Um, and like I told myself I was going to do it even when the pandemic started and I started like other teachers were leaving, you know, and people were
Right.
dropping like it's like other foreigners going back to the US or wherever. And I just really wanted to stick it out and finish what I had started. And the fact that I did that was I felt really good about. You know, I felt like I can commit to something and finish it because I've had I I'm pretty bad with commitment, you know. Like historically in my life, I'll like choose somewhere else to live or choose another job to work. So just being able to prove to myself that I can stick something out was pretty
Right.
valuable.
Dude,
But
that's
then
awesome.
also like, you guys there, if you hadn't been there, I would have been I probably would have been gone like that, you know.
Oh, dude, you're awesome, man. I appreciate that. Oh, dude, I love you, Connor. I really do, man. I'm glad to have met you here. You know, I really mean that. So thank
You're
you.
still here. It's
I know,
crazy.
I know, dude. I didn't even think I
You're
was.
the survivor. You're the only one. Oh my gosh.
You know
You're
what?
insane.
Um, I know, man. It's so weird, but one of the things I guess like that has. I mean, I know we're but I guess one of the things that made me stay here, honestly, dude, are like one, I want to challenge myself like you, dude, in a sense, like, well, am I able to be comfortably alone? Um, because I had you guys here. Like I mean, you guys were like my rock here, you know.
Yeah.
And being here, like once you guys left, I'll be honest with you, I felt so weird. Um, so weird. I think the last person that had left was Olivia. And then
Yeah.
that was just like, oh, this is like a reality check. Like, yo, like the people you just met, like your family that you have made here, like just left, you know? Um,
Yeah, I can imagine. I actually can't imagine. I feel like that would be too difficult for me.
you know, and it was difficult, man. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm not even gonna lie about it, but it made me realize more aspects of myself, which is what I wanted, you know, from this whole entire experience to begin with, you know, like learn more about myself, like, and be comfortable with who I am as a person, right? Um, and be chill with myself, like have fun with me, like, you know, and not to sound selfish in that sense, but also like, because for like the majority of my life, like I always because I'm an only child, I always compensated that with having friends around me all the time, or at least trying to socialize all the time, you know. Um, and so when you guys left, it was just a whole entire different like role, or like me like now dealing with a different challenge, right? I mean, I still have Zara. Zara's an amazing person, dude. For so she's still here. She still hangs out with me. So I'm like, I still have her. Um, but I guess like that was one of the things I wanted to challenge myself, and I hadn't felt like I had accomplished what I needed to learn from this experience, you know. Which was being comfortable in myself and my own skin fully. And then two, we're also the kids, man. I think the kids were like a big deciding factor for me, because I'm like, yo, some of these kids, like I'm seeing them improve so much, like um and
Yeah.
I didn't even think I liked teaching, you know. Even up to this point, it's still like so surreal for me, because like once I get back home, like it's a whole entire different thing I'm gonna do instead of teaching. Who knows? I might be teaching on the side part-time, who knows, full-time, I don't know, but I want to do something else, right? But
Mhm.
I think the thing that really caught me off guard was like you said, sticking it through the coronavirus, right? And then coming back and just trying to figure out how to maneuver with people's emotions, like especially the kids, because those were the ones that were affected a lot more, because we know that childhood is like definitely like a big role in how somebody develops, right? um and I found that challenge like exhilarating for me, but also like being able to like have these kids like grow with me, you know, and
Yeah.
also teach me at the same time. So I think that was another reason that how, well, not that I think, I know that's another reason why I stuck it through a little bit longer. I mean 3 years, going into 3 years, right? But was because of seeing my kids grow, and just like also like, you know, not being able to let them go yet, which is going to be hard once I leave, dude. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
completely honest, like my time is counted now, and I'm still struggling to deal with that at the moment, but I also know that that's the point of a teacher, you know, to teach
Yeah.
as
I
much
think
as you can at the best way
like
possible.
that was part of the hard part for me too, was saying goodbye, you know. I miss my students too from China, even though it was like almost 2 years ago now. I miss those kids, and they've probably grown so much and learned so much since I've left. But um, they can be such a force of like positivity too. You know,
Right.
even through like now that you're teaching a person again, like kids are so forgetful. They're so goddamn forgetful and forgiving,
And
and like
forgiving.
each day, even if like there was something that made them mad or upset the day before, they'll come back and they'll just be like so excited to see you, you know. And that's
Right.
something that adults lose pretty quickly, but
Right.
for kids, they have such this optimistic outlook on life. Everything is an opportunity all the time. So I love that perspective. And so, yeah, you can definitely learn. You can learn just as much from them as they learn from you. And I can see that in you being there. Like, I can tell that you feel the same way about them, you know, and that they're just as much helping you as you're helping them.
Agreed,
Yeah.
dude.
I'm,
I
I'm,
agree with that. Um, so now we've talked a little bit of what you've learned, right, in different places. You had mentioned that you were in Bozeman and you were actually starting to play with a band that you're currently in right now too, Left on Tent. And then that you started going, or that you moved to New Orleans and took a little bit more of jazz seriously. So I guess my question to you, my friend, when or how did you end up like solidifying the idea of becoming a musician? This is the career path that you want to go into, that you actually want to become an artist? And I know that's a hard question. That's like a mouthful, dude. So like, you can explain where there's been different areas where like it just started like coming together. But I guess
yeah.
like, how did you end up becoming a musician?
Okay. So there's a simple answer to this question, and there's a complicated answer to this question for sure. The simple answer is I feel like I've always been a musician
Mm.
ever since I was a kid. I was singing songs in the halls, you know. I was that guy for sure in middle school, like memorizing the soundtrack to Rent and just like singing it on the way to class.
That's awesome.
Which definitely was part of the reason I didn't have a girlfriend at the time, but um yeah, but I think that music has always been like with me, and like sometimes I can't fall asleep because I'm tapping rhythms out in my hand. I'm sure this happens to a lot of people too, but I think about it a lot, and just keeping like me continuing to play trumpet throughout all those years and like studying jazz was just opening all these different doors. Like you can be a musician and not kind of go anywhere with it if you don't stick with something and have these kind of opportunities open up and take these different paths to grow as a musician. Same with a lot of different trades, you know.
Right.
um so I just kind of kept being introduced to these new opportunities, and then the band was an opportunity, and I wanted to start rocking out, you know, in front of people, and I wanted to play guitar too, and I was trained on the piano since I was young, so playing all those different instruments helped. And but so that's kind of the simple answer. Music is just part of me, you know, and I've always known I was going to play it for my whole life. But but being a musician and choosing musician is like as a career and as a path is a lot more difficult for me because there's a lot of other things that I like, and that I want to dedicate my time to. And it's like, how do I prioritize these things? Like I love Spanish and I love Latin American culture, and I really care about like bringing countries together and like stopping conflict. And I also love teaching and like trying to figure out which one of these I want to dedicate my time to. Has been it's a constant struggle.
Right.
And being a musician is hard, you know. It's a lot of it's a lot of work and not a lot of reward as far as like finances. So like it's a struggle for me to like keep going with it. But it's like I can't stop. I'm always going to be playing music, so it's it's easy for me to dedicate myself to it. And since moving to Portland, I've really put a lot of time into it. I've started a new band, and COVID was hard because gigs weren't happening, but now they're starting up again. And yeah, I just love playing music, man. I love writing songs, and I want to share my songs. I want people to hear them.
I love that, dude. Um, so you recently, I mean, so you recently started coming up or actually posting up and publishing your own music, right? So we'll get off with your new band, Cosacchi. So first off, where did that name originate from? Like, how did you come up with that name?
Cosacchi is actually, it's a family name. It's my mom's last name, and so my grandpa on my mom's side, the Italians, yeah, it's a name,
Oh,
Cosacchi.
that's awesome.
And I just always wanted to use that name because I'm an Adams, you know, my dad's Adams, but I always thought Cosacchi was such a sick name, and like Connor Cosacchi has such a nice ring to it, you know. But then I was like, well, I'm not going to change my name because that would be kind of shitty thing to do, you know.
Right.
But yeah, so I just took it in a different way, use it as a band name, which means just as much to me. So now I have two names.
I like that band name, dude. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. It's
Um,
everybody pronounces it wrong though. Everybody says Cosacchi, which is totally fine. I'm not going to correct people if they say Cosacchi because I'd be doing it all the time. But it is Cosacchi,
Cosacchi.
and you got nice work.
I appreciate that. No, well, first off, dude, I remembered because I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's told me it's Cosacchi. So I'm like, I'm pronounced because originally I had thought it was like it originated like from some Japanese name or something like that, but also like realized like usually when you have the k sound, it's a k in Japan. So I'm like, I never
Mhm.
fully asked, but I'm glad I asked because it is the reason why I asked this question for my own curiosity too. I'm like, Kasaki, where does that name originate from? So, yeah, dude, awesome.
Yeah, if you see it spelled out, it's super Italian. Like, but it's hard to say if you're not Italian what it is. But like, if you're an Italian person and you see it, you're like, oh, that's definitely Italian.
Fair enough. See, I learn stuff every day, dude. I'm always learning something new. Um, so throughout your journey of life in general or everywhere, I guess as a musician, as a person, as an artist, as a human being, what struggles and adversities have you faced throughout your journey, and how have you overcome them, or how, if you're still currently going through some of them, how are you overcoming them?
Hmm. Struggles. Uh, let's see. This is a good question. There's lots of challenges, you know,
Right.
especially with a career that like especially with art because um you're kind of if you're serious about it, you know, and you want to use it as your primary source of income or something like that, or it's just like a career. If you're working as an independent artist, then it depends what people think of it, obviously. So you need people to like receive your material in a positive way, and kind of feedback is super important. And so me just kind of waiting to hear positive feedback. I'm not good with compliments, you know. I'm always like, it could be better, it could be better. That's something I think I could work on, is kind of taking people's positive reinforcement seriously and not just brushing it off. But so I guess I struggle with that. But yeah, just being able to believe in yourself is a struggle as an artist. Um, so overcoming that, uh, it really helps when you have family and friends that do what I was saying I'm bad at doing, which is like taking compliments, or at least like showing that they support you, and so yeah, believe in you and they want you to continue. So really, that the answer to that is like, I could not do it without the people that I care about and that care about me. Um, as far as that issue, or that challenge, believing in yourself, it takes a village to believe in yourself. Um, other than that, let's see, having to like work on the side in order to fund your dreams. A lot of people have to do that, you know.
Right.
Your passion has to be supported, or you have to be able to support yourself while you pursue your passion. So kind of working these jobs on the side that sometimes you just hate. Like you can't stand going to work. That's happened to me, like not often, but there's been a couple gigs where I've just been, I wish I wasn't here, you know, wish I didn't have to do this and I could just make music all day. But another one is, like I was saying before, another challenge is looking at other paths, like other careers, and saying, I kind of would like to do that.
Right.
You know, I would like to teach, but teaching is such a different path. Like you have to dedicate your whole time to it, kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah, it's a few challenges. Just a couple.
I mean, remind yourself that you can always be a Renaissance man, my friend. Don't forget that. Which I really consider you one to begin with, dude. I mean, you've had a lot of like different experiences too. So
I'd love to. I'd love to. I feel like I don't listen to enough podcasts anymore to be a Renaissance man. You know what I mean?
oh, it's a constant struggle to keep on learning, dude. I feel that. Trust me, I'm always struggling with that too. So I guess how have these challenges and these struggles like shaped you as a person that you are right now?
Let's see. Shaped me. I would say your experiences definitely shape who you are. It's kind of hard to recognize that though. For me at least, you know, it's more of like I'm just a piece of Play-Doh and all my experiences are like either punching me in the gut or stretching me out a little bit and I don't even know what shape I am anymore, you know, but I wouldn't be who I am without what I've experienced. So I'd say they reinforce things, or like being in a band for so long has definitely changed who I am. I think, and like the people I've been around have left impressions on me, whether I know it or not. And I've become either more like them or chosen to do something else. So yeah, I think it probably does come down to the people you spend your time with and whether you admire them or disagree with them, and that can kind of shape your opinions a lot. And so yeah, I can't really think of anything else on that one.
No, dude, it's okay. No, it was just it's a question. It's okay. So as where you're at right now, right? You're in Portland. You're playing music right now. You're working for a nonprofit. Man, obviously you faced a couple of struggles before too, like with monetary issues, maybe, and supporting your dreams, dealing with complicated people at some points too, and having to deal with the psychology of people in general. Getting your stuff stolen while you were in Peru, and just like going into the great unknown. If you had to do it all over again, would you?
Oh, I've done it. I've done it so many times. I think I'm addicted to it. Seriously. Like taking that big step, you know, without knowing what's on the other side.
Right.
A rush in that. And I just love, like, the other thing, I love adrenaline sports, you know, like skiing, climbing, all that. Kind of gets my blood pumping, and definitely taking risks and exploring. I love exploring. So I kind of feel the same rush of adventure when I do something like that. And I definitely will do it again. Like I said, I feel like it's not even an option for me. I have to, you know.
Right.
Right now, I'm just kind of taking a break and focusing on another passion, which is like creating music and trying to push as much material out as I can before I take another step, you know, in another direction, which will I have all these ideas of where I want to go, I've been talking to you about like going to Egypt. I wanted to go to Egypt for a long time. I know you feel the same.
I'll go with
Um,
you, man. Sign me up. Let me know, and I'm on that way there, dude. Let's meet
yeah,
up. I'm so excited for that.
that'll be a journey for sure. Egypt, I feel like I could spend a long time there, but also right now, like that part, like Ethiopia,
Mm,
Sudan, Egypt is all it's all messed up, So,
right.
but if you keep telling yourself that it's messed up, you're just making excuses.
Have you ever read The Alchemist?
I did, yeah. I read your copy.
Oh, you did. Oh, yes. Now I remember because yeah, dude. Let's
Yeah,
go,
kind
man.
of.
Shepherd
Yeah, the
boys,
Alchemist.
let's go.
Mhm. That part of the world is when I think about that part of the world and like adventure, it definitely comes to mind.
Right. Now I remember because you lended me meditations when I lent you The Alchemist. That's
That's
what
right.
happened. Now I remember. Um, so if somebody were to go and follow your path in the journeys and adventures that you've been going through and continue to go through, what advice would you give them?
Um, I would say my best advice is to um, like keep your friends close, and
Mm,
keep your relationships alive
right.
and treat people, you know, treat everybody the same and treat them well. Just try and keep open lines of communication with the people you care about because to me, like people are the most important thing,
Right.
like the relationships you have with people are more valuable than a lot of things. And China was a big help me with that realization for sure. And just my experiences traveling. Like I love all my friends and I'm so glad that I've made all these friends, but also like sometimes it can be really hard to keep friendships alive, keep friendships going. Um, it can be a lot of work. But if you put in the time, you'll find so much value in that. And then it's not just really your life that you're living anymore. You're part of somebody else's life that they're living. And that can really strengthen you in a lot of ways, like not just like sentimental ways, but also like real, like physical ways, like they can help you find employment or they can help you like push your music, in my personal experience, push your music to different parts of the world, different sections, like there are a lot of benefits to having like really good friends and trusting people. So yeah, being trusting, trust people and open yourself up to them and try and be real, try and be true to yourself, authentic. um that's something that I know can be really hard, especially growing up. Like, who am
Mm,
I? Who do I want to be? That's such a misleading question. Like, who do I want to be? You should just want to be who you are. You should
mm,
be like true to yourself and know what you like. It's pretty easy to know what you like and what you don't like if you just kind of strip it down
right.
to the bare minimum. Like, think about the people you really get along with. Like that connection feels flawless. Like you don't even have to try to speak with them, like it just flows. Conversation just flows. And when you can recognize that connection you have with somebody, it's a lot easier to kind of like see yourself in a lot of ways and know, yeah, like who you are and who you get along with. So I
Mm.
don't know. I'm kind of getting lost now.
No, I mean, no, it's perfect, dude. I mean, I think one of the most important things, like you said, dude, is keeping the relationships with people, especially because when you're going into the unknown as a person, starting something new, or just going as an artist, as a creator in general, right? Like you have, at least you know that you have that group of friends and family members and your tribe, right? I would say tribe, um,
Yeah.
right behind you, you know, always one step of the way with you. A phone call away, a text message away, a message away. You always know you have people to count on no matter what.
Yeah.
So I think that's valuable advice, especially for somebody who's trying to start something new, especially as a musician or as an artist, a creator in general, you know. And
Right.
um, because some, you know, I know there's always going to be pushback from people, but if you have a big, solid group that supports you, it won't matter what that pushback comes from, you know. So I agree with you on that. I mean,
I guess another piece of advice I would make too is trying to be kind of think about what you do before you do it, you know, like everybody makes mistakes, obviously, but like you can you I don't know, like sometimes you make a decision, you know, and it affects somebody in a
mhm,
negative way for sure, and that can like just change your image and change like the way people think about you, um change your relationship with whoever the person was that you hurt, you know,
right.
and you can prevent that by just like thinking about your actions before you do them. Like that's kind of a
No, I think that's, yeah. I mean, dude, I've been on both sides of the deal of one, me, honestly, I mean, not to sugarcoat it, but fucking my own relationships up in some areas, you know. Um, and being on the other end where somebody kind of just like did something bad towards me, and I'm like, oh shit. Um, both in which I felt like shit no matter what. Um,
right.
because one, like being the perpetrator of something, right, is never, it's never fun at the end of the day, especially because then you realize like, yo, what did I just do? Oh, I'm such an asshole.
Right.
Um, you know, and it sucks. Because now you have to live with that guilt, right? In that sense, like now you're living with that guilt. At least if you're, and I'm very like I overthink things sometimes. So it definitely has affected in some of the ways like now or how I handle my because I'll be honest, the way how I handle my relationships isn't the way how I handled them before, you know. I guess I've had to learn so many times fucking up some of my relationships to realize this is not what you do as a person, and it is how you actually, this is how you be a better human being. But you won't necessarily be able to learn that unless you fuck up, you know. I think it's, in a sense, you kind of have to, as much as we don't want to, you know, because that's how you learn how to keep solid relationships. That's how you learn how to build solid relationships too, where it's friendships, where it's a partner, where it's business wise, and
Right.
anything. It takes, like you said, it takes work, time, and experience, right?
So I guess just being able to learn from those mistakes that you've made in your past and not repeat them, you know, kind
Right,
of thing. Staying like recognizing what you've learned and trusting it and not repeating mistakes is it's because it takes some like thinking.
right,
It takes some effort to not repeat mistakes, you know. You do have to like seal those away in your brain to
right.
remember them.
And you kind of have to face them, you know. I think one of
Yeah.
I think as when I've been learning or what I've learned is that sometimes people struggle with that, including I had some struggles facing some of those like mistakes myself. Because you never want to be that person to admit, you know, at least if you let your ego get in the way, right? As much as we talk about it in stoicism, ego gets in the way sometimes, right? You're not able to learn, but you have to be okay with what you did as long as you learned, right?
Yeah.
No.
That's the hard part for sure.
That's the hard part. It's always hard because you always feel like you always feel like you're like so high and mighty. I guess let me rephrase it. Not always, right?
Yeah,
But
so
sometimes your
righteous.
ego wants to feel like you're so high and mighty and that you're so righteous, but sometimes your righteousness is not necessarily right, you know?
Mhm.
There's been many of times where I've had to face that myself where I'm like, oh, well, I just ate shit in this. Um, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you, dude. As long as you learn from them. Um, so I think we'll skip the question of like what advice would you give people if you had one, because we came through a lot of different advices. And I think these are valuable advices though, you know. Learn from your mistakes, learn from how to build relationships and keep the relationships that you truly care about and who you love. Because one, they're an extension of you as your family, as your tribe, and just in general.
Mhm.
They're your rock. Um,
Yeah.
are you ready for the round of fun questions?
Yeah.
All
Hit me
right.
with some fun stuff, Alberto.
I know, I'm so sorry. Um, favorite show. What's your favorite show?
Oh, oh, my favorite show. Um, oh, I don't really. Maybe what's my favorite show? I don't really watch a lot of watch a lot of TV,
That's okay.
but what's something I really liked?
Do you have a
I
favorite
really like,
movie?
I really like Dragon Tales. Dragon Tales was great, you
Dude,
know.
dude, Dragon Tales was
Like,
an amazing cartoon. Yes.
Dragon Tales was life changing for sure.
I felt like it was so underrated.
Hmm.
PBS did not give it enough seasons at all. Um,
No,
definitely not. Do you feel like that's where like some of your adventure kind of like rooted from? Like kind of
for
motivated you to go
sure.
more in
Yeah,
adventures?
yeah. I wish with all my heart, fly with dragons in the land of art, dude.
Ah, oh my god. Dude, again, Dragon Tales. Such an underrated show. Such an underrated show.
Oh, we
Um,
did a lot of adventure in old Dragon Tales land, Dragon Land. Maybe I don't know what they call it, but
I think it was Dragonland. You're right. I honestly wish when I was a little kid, dude, I wish I was able to do that. I wish I would have found like a small little like what was it, a dragon scale, right? Was it a dragon scale?
yeah, I think so. Hmm.
And like I wish I would have found like a box with a dragon scale so that way I could like chant that and just like all of a sudden get taken into a different like world of dragons. I'm like, oh dude, why is this not happening to me? Along with also trying to become a Power Ranger. But that's a whole entire different story too. Um, dude.
Which ranger would you? Would you be the Red Ranger?
At first I was so there's three rangers I wanted to be. I wanted to be the Blue Ranger because I'm like, yo, this guy's smart and he knows what he's talking about, and he's the one that's like making sure people aren't stupid, leading like the Rangers to like different things. There's the logic part, and then it was the Red Ranger, but it wasn't until in the original Power Rangers, right? It wasn't until Tommy came in when he was the Green Ranger, and then he turned into the White Ranger. I'm like, yo, I want that. I want to be the White Ranger because he looks super badass, and he has like a tiger, like Siberian tiger, like speaking to him with his sword. Like, who doesn't want a Siberian tiger?
Do you ever read the Animorphs series books?
I've read only a few. I haven't like I never really got into them, but that's because I was reading Goosebumps more.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
So,
Animorphs
um,
is the one. You know the premise though, right? Is like they touch basically they can touch an animal and like download their body, like downloads their DNA of the animal, and then they can turn into the animal
oh,
essentially. So like this one guy, I remember reading it as a kid and just being obsessed with him. And he like jumps in, he like is hiding or something from zoo security, and he jumps into a Siberian tiger pit, and like the tiger comes up to him, and he touches the tiger, and then like turn into us. It's like
dope.
that's so sick.
It's so
I'm gonna
cool.
turn into a tiger.
Right? All of a sudden you stick your hand inside a zoo and like, psh,
Like, you
my
don't- yeah.
hand.
You don't just have like a tiger pet, you are the tiger, you know?
That's
That's
so
the
sick. Oh, these children's books too, and just children's shows in general are just awesome.
yeah, they were.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm not even sure. I don't pay attention to like now, but I hope that like they're just as creative as now, like as they were in the '90s, because that was definitely a magical time. Um,
Yeah.
for
You
many
know, they
different,
repeat a lot of stories, like a lot of like premises and stuff. They repeat them and tell them in different ways.
right?
It's like Honest and Avatar and all that, you know.
Oh, true,
So
true.
I'm sure they're recycling those stories with just different characters and things. But it's also hard to tell because everything's so techy now and just different. It's gonna be interesting to see where we're at in like 50 years, you know,
Dude,
all that stuff.
NFTs, metaverse, virtual worlds. We're like going to like a different universe of things. Um,
I like the virtual world thing. I think is super interesting, um, but I also think it's a little scary because it's really gonna. It's like right now, you know, we're talking. Like I feel like I can look around my whole room and then go do stuff in my day, and like maybe in 50 years, everything's gonna be people with headsets on, like meeting in rooms, or maybe not. Maybe we'll get rid of those headsets. You know, it'll just be like a little chip or something on your brain or on your skull, um but like you'll be kind of checking out of the real world a lot and checking into kind of these like virtual chat rooms or virtual reality worlds, and that's a little frightening, honestly. Like, you know, Earth matters. Our
Agreed.
planet super important, and like we got to keep it. Maybe us checking out will help it a little bit more, you know, not using all its resources all the time, but also like running all those virtual worlds will definitely take a lot of energy, a lot of power.
Power consumption for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
So
it's I think it's gonna be interesting, like you said, dude. I would say I'm excited for the opportunity, but the one thing that I'm really iffy about is like how you said, dude, people actually checking out of the reality that we're in right now, you know?
mhm,
Um, I guess people missing out those like real connections. Not to say you can't make a connection virtually, right? Or like because I've been able to make friends like gaming or like on the phone or just randomly like that. Uh
yeah.
but we're in, it's in our nature to have human contact, to hang out in groups and tribes and just in general, right?
Mhm,
I i see the potential that this is able to offer, but I also see like the dark side of this, of what it may become if we don't keep ourselves in check of what is real and
mhm.
what's not, you know. I
Yeah.
would hate for humanity to lose, I guess, their their idea of life, and because for whatever reason, I mean, my idea of life can be really like, might be different, right, from everybody else's or from yours as well. But I guess I would hate for people to lose that sense of adventure in the real world, of what's still possible. What you might be getting in the virtual world, you might still be able to get it in the real world, as long as you're willing to travel, meet new people, in that
Mhm.
sense, right? And that's where I really hope it doesn't go into. Or who knows, maybe this might be the gateway for people to meet new people from around the world, and then they travel to that place,
Well,
you know.
yeah, it's definitely going to be able. It's going to open so many
you
doors
know
of communication. Like, like even it's going to be awesome. You know, you could probably there will be an internet language. Essentially, everybody will be able to understand each other. Like without even maybe having to speak your own language, you could speak in code. You know, or like the computer could instantly translate whatever language you're speaking in
right,
and translate into code, which then would be translated into their language.
right,
Stuff like that. Like opportunities are like we can't even imagine like all
right.
the opportunities in the world that will open up to us. Um, Yeah, I'm super excited about it too. I think it's fantastic. It's just a little scary, you know, because it's unknown, and that's the main thing. Is like, can people? Are you excited about the unknown, or are you scared about the unknown? And
Right.
like we talked about before, is like, I think we're both pretty. We're okay with taking that step, you know, and seeing what's on the other side. Like being curious
I mean, it's
is
led us so
awesome.
far this way, right? So agree.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, favorite food. What's your favorite food?
So I talked about mashed potatoes earlier. Big fan of mashed potatoes. Just potatoes in general. Fantastic. But my favorite food, I've always stuck by this, is my mom's casserole.
Hmm.
It's just so homey, you know. I love a good home cooked casserole. It's got so much cheese on it too. Makes it different every time, but like it's kind of there's like a consistency to it that I admire. Let's see what's in it. I know there's rice, a lot of cheese. I think like cream of chicken is in there, peas, corn, veggies, some kind of meat, usually whatever is in the fridge, and then it's all baked up and plopped down. It's gnarly, man.
Sounds delicious.
Big rock in my stomach, but I love it.
Dude, that's awesome. Um, what's your favorite book?
Uh, my favorite book, okay, is probably, oh, it's a tough one. It's a lot of really good books.
Favorite
But
books.
my favorite, I could narrow my favorite book down. My favorite book has taken on kind of a sentimental value uh, after reading it too, because it's called The Elegance of the Hedgehog.
Hmm.
Oh, and what's that name of the author? Oh, I can't remember her name off the bat on the top of my head. But it's a novel, and it's like told by two people. There's two main characters.
Mhm.
One is one is a suicidal 12-year-old who's like super intelligent, and one is a concierge at a hotel, which the 12-year-old lives in. So it's kind of told from both their different perspectives, and really it's just a lot of dialogue. The whole book is like an inner dialogue of each of them, you know, and the people they interact with, and they're just very interesting. And then it's kind of just about life. It's an interesting story. I would definitely recommend that to anybody, you know, as a book. It's kind of like heady, you know. You got to think about it and like maybe take it a step at a time, but it's a great read. Um, on a lighter note, I love Game of Thrones. I love the books. I like blew through those for sure. I'm kind of into that, you know, like old world fantasy action, kind of a like just picture image. Like I always wanted to have a sword when I was a kid, you know, and like fight some baddies. So something like that comes around, I'll probably pick it up and try it out. And Game of Thrones just like hooked me for sure. So love those books. And yeah, I'm currently reading kind of a cool series called The Expanse.
Hmm.
I think there's a television show about it, or there is a television show about it too. I just finished the first book last night, and it's pretty good. I read it in like a week.
If you mind me asking, what's that about?
It's like a sci-fi kind of book, so it's based in kind of a faraway future. Like Earth has colonized Mars, and then there's like also this like huge um like another colony called the Belt, and it's like a series of space stations in an asteroid field, I think, or something, but it's out in space, you know, and like there's millions and
Right.
millions of people there. So there's three big powers. There's Earth, Mars, and the Belt. And then it goes down to like the people that live in the Belt and the people that live in a ship that goes through space, and there's an external threat, and then there's all this like political stuff. So it can be a little complicated, you know. It's a big story, really big story, but it's cool. It's interesting. I think you'd like it a lot. I know you like that.
Dude, it sounds
sci-fi.
like it. That's why I ask. I want to make sure I check it out.
I would. So there is a show though, and I remember I watched the show,
Mhm.
and because I watched the show first, now when I read the book, I like see the faces of the characters from the show
Right.
every time I read their name, you know, kind of thing. And that's something I don't like when I read. I like being able to make the image of the people in my head.
So
before
don't watch the show.
I would read the book first.
Read the book first.
I feel like a lot of people say that. You know about Dune? The Dune is the movie that just came out. Everybody's like wants to read the book first. They have the first look of, you know, the story before they
Right.
go into the movie, and then that's their first look. It's just kind of it's a natural process. I feel like reading the original content before the
Right. Favorite musician.
Oh, my favorite musician. I really like Bon Iver. Bon Iver is fantastic, and I think he's grown so much as a musician too, which is inspiring. And all the material he makes is like, it's kind of like pushing the boundaries of music.
Right.
Like his auto tune stuff is, he started doing that around the same time. In what's his name? I'm gonna buy you a drink. Who's that?
Is that T-Pain?
Yeah, T-Pain.
There's a T-Pain.
T-Pain pushed the limits of music with autotune. You know, I feel like he was one of the first ones. Bon Iver was close behind him.
Right.
And then yeah, his arrangements was just so powerful and like warm, a lot of them, and I love that, and I've learned a lot as a musician from that. And then so Miles Davis too, as a musician, purely as a musician, because his style of playing trumpet is something that I try and mimic, you know, very cool, jazzy, and
Right.
airy and laid back. But yeah, so Miles has been a big influence on me. Bon Iver, big influence, and then also really like Jack White. I think he rocks the fuck out, and it's cool to have like kind of that like mindset of, I'm gonna play whatever I want. I'm just gonna do it loud, and it's gonna sound like a riot, and it's gonna be super fun. I love
Right.
that kind of mindset. So some that's always hit and miss though, you know, like some of the songs are masterpieces and some of them just sound like noise. So, but I like it.
As long as you like it, man. Favorite place?
Favorite place? That's hard. That's probably the hardest one so far. Favorite place? I've spent, you know, but every time I go somewhere, I always come back. I always go home. You know, I don't really stay places too long, and like I end up at least stopping maybe a month a year at my mom's house in Bellevue, you know, and like hanging out. Well, I choose where I'm going to go next, but there is this grove kind of near the house that I usually go to and like read at, and it's just got these big old trees, and it's like a grassy kind of secluded place, and it's got a bench. It's a pretty sweet spot, especially I usually end up being there in the summer or springtime, and it's just nice kind of being by yourself in like a really heavily wooded but still kind of open grassy area. I love trees, so that's kind of a spiritual place for me. And I would say, yeah, probably favorite places are any place that feels spiritual and that I feel incredibly relaxed and kind of like in awe of a little bit. So probably that one little grove would be my favorite place.
I love that. That's awesome. It sounds nice too. I want to go
I'm
visit that
curious.
now.
What's your favorite place, Alberto?
Ooh, damn. Now you're
Favorite?
asking favorite place.
It's a tough one.
It
There's a
is a
lot of
tough
places.
one. There are a lot of places. Um, now I'm having trouble too. Because there's so many places you connect with, right?
Yeah.
I guess one of my favorite places. Um, yeah, I do have there's many places, but I guess the one that I usually like to go to the most is actually in San Diego. It's called Mission Beach. And so
Mhm.
whenever I have trouble or have issues going on where I've needed to contemplate and be myself, um, not condoning drug use, but get stoned and just like get out and um get out and just to think a little bit more. Uh
Oh, I've smoked in that grove.
Fair enough. So right, yeah. So I mean, so I would always get stoned, go take myself to Mission Beach in San Diego and just like stay there, either putting my headphones on and just viewing the beach or watching like the people pass by because there's like a sidewalk too where people are just like roller skating or rollerblading or just walking by. You have visitors. And right beside it too, you literally have like right there the front beach area. Where I would sit there for hours just watching the sun or watching people or either getting into the water and then staying there till sunset. And sometimes I would take my camera with me because although I've gotten a lot of cameras stolen from me before, but usually whenever I had my camera, I would take it with me so that way I could just like take pictures as I would find that meditating for me. Um, it's like really peaceful, just being there and just staring at the ocean and just also sometimes staring at the passerbys and like wondering, well, what's going on with their lives too, like people
Yeah.
watching.
It is so interesting. I feel like places like that, like the ocean
Right.
or like mountains or the forest, like they can mean so much to different people, or like they can mean more to different people.
Right.
Like if you grew up near the water or you grew up in the forest, it can have kind of like this heavier meaning to you a little bit.
Right.
I've always felt like this deeper connection to kind of the woods for sure.
Right.
And like birds and all that, like just the silence. But
And
then there's
it's
some like scary woods too that you don't like. I don't really want to go in there because it's like a little dark and kind of quiet. So I'm gonna keep walking and walk a little faster. There's like this human kind of fear of being alone, lost in the woods. I feel like
right.
that's kind of an internal genetic thing.
And it's like survival a little bit, dude. Like, in the sense like, oh shit, do I have to go into survival mode now? Is something gonna come out and attack me out of nowhere? Like what? Instincts are
So
on, like,
yeah,
no.
having like civilization like kind of nearby or like nearby is pretty necessary.
Right.
Like I can escape, for a moment and be in this place, but then go knock on some doors if somebody's trying a bear is running after me.
Right. I agree. That's awesome. Um, the closest that I've had, I guess, so there's a couple mountains in San Diego County that I've had around me. I guess I'm pretty sure there are woods too, but I'm really bad at remembering some stuff. Um, yeah, there are campsites, but not as much as like, at least in South California, just not as much as there would be like in Washington, right? Like, cause you guys have like big forests, like
Yeah, a lot
crazy amount,
of
unless I go up to Northern California, but that's where it starts because you guys just continue on extending all the way from like California, Northern California, all the way up to like Oregon, all the way up to Washington and Canada. So it's like, so,
yeah.
so I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, man, thank you for sharing. Uh, so because this podcast is literally called Learning Life with You,
Mhm.
um, and we're learning life with you, Connor, today. So thank you for being on. My
Ah, I see.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, man. there is a point to my craziness, you know. There's always something there's going on.
It's all coming together.
It's all coming together, man. Because I'll be honest with you, like so before I ask you the last question, right? I guess like the explanation, because I haven't even like done a rebranding episode yet either. But the whole entire reason why I wanted to create this or rebrand this podcast was because essentially like my name's gonna be on there no matter what, you know. Um, but the idea of creating this was to get people on here to talk about their life stories, talk about their experiences, and also learn from them, because a lot of people that I have on, including yourself, like I've learned something from, you know, or so I just think they're really interesting and cool people to have around. Um, so that's the whole entire reason why instead of learning life with Alberto, it's like, no, well, learning life with you, because literally it's learning life with somebody else and like getting from their own experience, like what can I learn from them, or how did they handle some experiences, how did they handle some challenges? Because let's be honest, um, people sometimes need that extra push to do stuff, you know, and everybody has a voice. And people like to be heard, or people want help by somebody who's been there before, had similar experiences too. So that's the whole entire purpose of it, is like learning life with somebody that, you know, could take something or could help somebody else with learning life with you. So that's and connecting people together, dude. Essentially, like, you know, the purpose is the humanistic part of people, you know. That's it, right? Um,
Yeah,
breaking
I think that's
barriers. Just
cool. You know, communication is huge. There's definitely people that are going through similar things out there. You know, I hope that we can help each other out down the line.
And plus, it's your story is cool, so I'm glad to have you on. Now, last question, my friend.
Yes.
What does learning life mean to you?
Oh, um, learning life. Dang, I had an answer to this one. I like looked at this one. I was trying to. I know I had something, but now it's gonna get in the way of me answering the question, the one that I had already pre. You know what I mean?
Dude, whatever comes your way, man.
What does learning life mean to me? I think kind of it's a role. You know, you kind of gotta roll with the punches, and everything matters that you go through. So like learning, you know, learning is a constant thing, as we teachers like understand. So everything that a kid learns in a classroom like becomes incorporated with who they are and what they know and what they believe. So it's the same with learning life. It's like the things that you go through and the challenges you have to overcome, they become part of you. So learning life is just a culmination of your experiences and the people that you care about and affect you in certain ways. And yeah, just trying to be happy, you know, pursuit of happiness is part. We're all working towards that. We all want fulfillment. So like, how can you take these experiences and shape them in a positive way that help you grow as a person? That's what learning life means to me.
I love it. I love it. Connor, thank you, my friend. Thank you for
Yeah,
being
Albert.
on.
My
So
pleasure.
for all the listeners out there, how do we find you?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at Cosacchi Music. Cosacchi Music. Cosacchi Music. And then yeah, I'm basically just gonna, like, as far as social media and all that and getting a hold of me, I'm gonna focus on my Cosacchi band because that's what I really care about, you know.
Right.
Personal handles and all that, like I'm not really gonna put that much effort into. I'm just gonna focus on my business, but like I'll be there. If you want to reach out, I'll be on the other line, and like that's definitely the best way to contact me. But yeah, just Cosacchi. If you're interested in checking out what's going on in my life and the music that I'm creating, like and I'm going to be uploading songs to YouTube and Spotify all the time. So
Solid.
yeah, that's where I'm at these days.
Awesome, dude. Thank you, Connor. Dude, so you guys heard it at Cosacchi Music. Check it out on Spotify and also on YouTube too and Instagram. But yeah, man, I mean, any last words you like to tell our listeners by any chance?
Oh, I'm just so it feels good to see my buddy Alberto, you know, face to face.
Dude,
We out here. I feel like we're on similar paths, you know. And you know, I got your back, brother, and I'm glad you're doing this. I think that this is definitely a valuable thing, and just having positive conversations with people goes a long way, you know. And I hope you have the opportunity to talk with many interesting individuals, and I'll be tuning in for sure.
Dude,
So thanks everybody for listening to my rambles, and thanks Alberto for getting the discussion started. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I appreciate you for being on. Thank you for being one of my best friends, for being there, one of my tribe members, and just being awesome, man. I'm glad to see you here. I'm glad that you're willing to do this. You know, I'm like, because
yeah, I woke up. I did it this time.
I know, dude. I know I woke you up. So thanks, man. I appreciate you, dude. And real stuff, man. I'm glad to have you on. And thank you. Thank you for being on, dude. I love you, man. And thank you for listening, guys. Peace.
All right. Bye.
Learning Life With You was created in association with the Human Connections magazine, a non-profit media organization connecting the world together. Executive producer and host, Alberto Castillo. Theme music by Dubflex. If you guys like this podcast, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, follow us on your favorite podcast platform, and follow us on our social media accounts at Learning Life With You, or visit www.learninglifewithyou.org. Love you guys. Goodbye.